So the first thing I want to say is that this is dumb. This is a waste of my time. This is probably a waste of your time. But I'm recording it in WAS, you know, for some reason. I guess I just thought it would be easy because I don't really need to do any editing. I can just have the video here and then just click on it and then stop and then read from the thing, and then I don't need to add any other visual aids in post. I will still need to add the little intro sequence, and then secret segment will have to be added in post, but the main part of the video I can just do all in OBS, and I thought that was pretty neat, so I might as well do it. I already have it written. So what is this? Okay, so as you might know, Big Joel made a video about Godzilla, and as you also might know, if you know me, and I assume you must if you're watching this video, but you don't simply make a video about Godzilla without me leaving a essay-length comment. It simply doesn't happen. That's not how anything works. So of course I did, but then it was apparently so long that YouTube yelled at me and refused to post it. So instead I left a much shorter one saying, well, YouTube wouldn't let me post it, so I guess I'm going to make this a video response, the joke being that video responses haven't existed on YouTube since the late aughts. Okay, so this is essentially that video. So what is my hot take that I have on Big Joel's video? What is my clapback? Well, it's not. That's the thing. It's not. I don't disagree with anything he said. I don't necessarily have much to add to his thesis. Every single thing that I wrote down in my comment was just a tangent based on the way that he phrased a certain thing in the video, and then I went off on this rant about something Godzilla related because of it. I'm not being critical of the video. I just... You see what I mean by this being stupid? So shall we get to it? Okay, so the first thing I had to say, what was the first thing about? There are 8 numbered things on this list. Most of them are paragraphs. So, okay, so I think the first one comes around...
Kid, Godzilla existed as this big, weird lizard from Japan. I didn't watch his movies, but the general consensus was that it was iconic, goofy cinema. He was campy and same. Why reinvent what is already right there in the movie staring at us? And
kind of doesn't get to how they're related, which I think is bizarre. Where is the section with the he's talking about the lady on the bus, right? Yeah, here it is.
Scene toward the beginning of the film. A woman sits on a train talking about Godzilla, and she says this. I just barely got out of Hiroshima and now I have to deal with Godzilla? It's an iconic line, funny and sad. The bomb here is not imagined as horrific or terrifying, but almost as an inconvenience, an irritating burden which must be lived with and thought about. This scene troubles our analysis, doesn't it? If Godzilla is the bomb, if that is what he is exclusively meant to represent, then what the hell is the literal bomb doing here? What is the point of having both when they are supposed to be one in the same? Why reinvent what is already right there in the movie staring at us? Anyway, in this
It's,
video,
it just sounds so dumb. Isolated from the context of the rest of the video, which is why this is exactly the point where I'm like, well, wait a minute.
I want to talk about what Godzilla is, what he means, and why we need him, even though the bomb already dropped. Between 19...
Okay, so, yeah. So here's what I said. First of all, I preface this comment with, wasn't expecting a Godzilla video from you of all people, but cool. Am optimistic you'll have more to say about him besides her first movie bomb every other movie silly, and ignore the fact that Omori ever existed. And you did, although the intro had me a little worried. It's like I was just saying. But if you thought you were going to post a video about Godzilla about me or anything, it's actually not a 5,000 word comment, it's a 1,906 word comment. That's a fool's wager. That's not how anything works. Okay. So the first point, which is directly predicated to that little section about Godzilla, is exclusively the bomb. Okay. The first movie is primarily about the Lucky Dragon number 5 incident, but given that it is, you know, the first one, it was a reaction to roughly everything all at once. Godzilla didn't learn how to pace himself yet, and so the movie carries with it all of the horrors of the past decade, from the fire bombings, the nuclear bombings, Castle Bravo, and generally everything else awful humans have ever done. But in practice, this comes through via, like the scene you pointed out, characters lumping in the appearance of Godzilla at the end of a long list of comparable experiences. It's even implied that Godzilla doesn't even replace the events in the world of the film. They refer back to contaminated fish, and given that the film opens in September, there's no reason not to assume that all of the drama from the Castle Bravo fallout literally just happened. Basically, the world the film is presenting is one where nuclear tragedies and other horrors have become so frequent and commonplace that they now happen multiple times a year. I like to think of it like the way that we perceive school shootings in the US now. It's always awful, but it's never unexpected, and there will always be a next time. So that's point one. Point two comes a little later when he starts talking about this here.
It's literally a dinosaur from the Jurassic era, and what's more, he's been around in Japanese culture for a long time. As this guy toward the beginning of the movie says, when there were less fish in the ocean, Godzilla would always rear his ugly head. There used to be a ritual to put him at peace where a young woman was murdered.
Hope the balancing isn't too
Even
terrible.
as the man is discussing ritual sacrifice, there's something melancholic, nostalgic about his speech here. Because Japan has...
It's just that in OBS, the leveling is different, because the leveling is done in OBS, whereas I'm listening to the audio of the video with headphones, and that's not necessarily giving... Sorry, it's a dumb tangent.
Lost something. A center, a place in the world, a culture, an empire. They still have the dance, but it doesn't have substance. There is no longer killing. And you can't help but ask, looking at this scene, could an older Japan have solved this problem? The old man says they made a sacrifice. He seems to think that worked, so could it work now, if we wanted it to? Is there another ancient world that could have dealt with Godzilla, could have lived with the monster?
Well, first of all, I do not believe that how old was that guy? Like what, 60s? I do not believe that late 1800s Odo Island was still doing, like Meiji era Odo Island was still doing human sacrifices to a Godzillasaurus. I have an extremely difficult time believing that. He specifically says that in the old days they used to do this. So when he's talking about in the old days, he's talking about an oral history. So we know that this was happening in the 1700s. So Genroku period, that's when the comic Strange Tale of Genroku period Odo Island, we have a hard date for that. So 1701 is when they actually encountered a Godzillasaurus on the island, and had a physical altercation with them. But the way he talks about it, it's as if it's a story that his grandfather told him, about the way things used to be done. And then he grew up, you know, with these stories, and you know, so like I don't think that a 60-year-old was part of it. Sorry for the other tangent, but like I don't think that this particular guy would have first-hand understanding whether or not a human sacrifice would work.
In this way, through this tension, Godzilla becomes unfixed in time, representing two opposing forces. Godzilla is modernity, but he is also the culture that
I mean modernity, that's not how you say that, come on.
Modernity destroyed. Godzilla is the bomb, but he is also a memory of the world without bombs.
Okay, so, second point, which I kind of already got into. Oh, yeah. Oh, no, not yet. Okay. All right, I'm good. I'm on track. Okay, so, no, the sacrifice of a single human would not have dissuaded a 12-meter deep-sea super predator from fishing in the waters around Odo Island. It's well established they're migratory island hoppers. They didn't have fixed territories, but seem to have hunted and mated throughout the whole of the Pacific Ocean, from the Aleutian Islands to the Marshall Islands. They also have magnetoception, like living dinosaurs in real life, and so probably what was happening was that a Godzillasaurus, either a single large one or a pod, passed through the area during a certain season several hundred years ago, and that at a regular, predictable interval it would affect the fishing on the island before they left again, presumably off to the Marshall Islands, where the individual in the film was in March. Hence, you know, the part where he's Godzilla. So, essentially, this Godzilla's family just spent spring in the Marshall Islands and autumn in the Izus. Because of the seasonality, the ceremony would continue perpetually, even if no Godzillasaurs were actually hunting there at the time. And the fact that the ceremony itself has been so changed by the present suggests that they probably hadn't for a long time. It's entirely possible this particular individual is rather old, and only went back to Odo Island as part of an attempt to find others during some sort of post-mutation mania or something. Since we know that the experience of becoming a Godzilla is extremely traumatic and confusing for one of the animals. Point is, Godzillasaurs having this history with Pacific Islanders at all shows us that the relationship between the two was never really contentious. Because if it was, there wouldn't be any Odo Islanders anymore. Okay, now the second part is actually related to this tangent that it goes on.
Chooses a popular interpretation of the Wannsee Conference that says that when these Nazi officers said that they wanted to evacuate the Jews, they were simply trying to avoid using the word exterminate, murder.
I have the real feeling I evacuated 30,000 Jews already by shooting them.
Okay. Why is that German Nazi officer speaking English with a British accent? Whoa. Okay, so, weird. I do not know what this next note is from. Oh, that was point That was point 3, by the way. So not all of these are a whole paragraph long. Oh, it was about this.
Life has value, who is, in some way, a part of us. But I find the second reason Yamane gives even more interesting. Toward the end of his little speech, he says this. We must study Godzilla because he is resistant to radioactivity, and it would be good if we could discover why that is and replicate it. I get chills just thinking about this. It is one of my favorite lines from any movie ever. Less than a decade prior, the world was revealed to be a place far more vulnerable than anyone could have imagined. A city was decimated, around 100,000 people died, and all because of one bomb. 3 days later, it happened again. And since that day, the bomb only got more powerful. Here we have a monster. He towers over the world and kills people and destroys everything, but he could also redeem us. Godzilla could save us from the bomb because he is the one thing that the bomb can't kill.
As Maki said, do as you like. This next point is about the Dead Pig movie. I do not think it's called Dead Pig movie. I forgot what it's called. Seems kind of interesting, but there's no monsters in it, so I'm not that interested.
Which subjectivity fails. The movie is filled with references and delusions and ideas. Oklahoma and Baby It's Cold Outside and poetry and Dairy Queen, and you want... There is no meaning to identity, to the people we think we are or the minds we think we possess. We could have been born as anything, as Jake or Lucy, as Judd or Curly, as a rotting pig on the floor of a barn. It is all fundamentally the same. I'm Thinking of Ending Things is a film that describes entropy. Not the entropy of matter or energy, but the entropy of human minds in relation to other minds. The process through which we become people and unbecome people, through which we cease to be separate from one another, through which subjectivity fails. The movie is filled with references and delusions and ideas. Oklahoma and Baby It's Cold Outside and...
Okay, why did it take so long to pause that? Okay, so, number 5. Your perspective on that Dead Pig movie reminds me of 2 things I thought about when watching Godzilla movies while really high. The first is something I wrote down in my 2020 Deathiversary journal, which is that, as per a previous high thought, which is not at all new, and according to Carl Sagan, is a sober thought, if we are the universe experiencing itself, then Godzilla, the film, is the universe realizing its own mortality. Of course, this comes off as a little silly when compared to Biollante and Planet Eater. The first movie is basically a comedy. Let me read that one more time. Of course, this comes off as a little silly when compared to Of course, this comes off as a little silly when... Oh, I know what I woulda put a comma after when. That's the problem. This comes off as a little silly when compared to Biollante and Planet Eater, comma, again. Editing in real time here, folks. Wait, where's my cursor? My fucking cursor disappeared. Makes it hard to edit in real time. Okay, last take. This one is going to be golden. Of course, this comes off as a little silly when compared to Biollante and Planet Eater. The first movie is basically a comedy. We did it, folks! I got through the line. But the idea was that through breaking someone like Honda, the expression of that loss in the form of Godzilla, a living thing that's simultaneously a victim, metaphor, and an adjudicator of mankind, is, in its act of creation, an example of entropy from the beginning of the universe's experience of itself to the point where the experience no longer has any merit. You can draw a straight line from this to Planet Eater. Whew. Man, that was tough, but I got through it. Now, the second is a different point, and I made it a different point, I think because he said something that I got to later, but it just picks up right from there, and it's a bigger idea, so I'm just gonna go to a frame of this that actually has Godzilla in it. Yeah, there he is, for Mankind's greatest work. And just read this part. Okay, so the second is the idea of the Godzilla Samsara. And this is a big one. Okay, you guys ready to hear about the Godzilla Samsara? Here we go. This one I thought of while watching the 28th, 29th, and 30th Godzilla films all at the same time on different screens, which was incredibly trippy, but being that each of them takes place in a different timeline, I got the impression, watching them, that they all seem to follow the same events, but with different outcomes. By the way, for people who don't know Godzilla, with the intimacy that they affix numbers, like ordinal numbers, to the movies. 28 is Final Wars, 29 is Shin Godzilla, 30 is Planet of the Monsters. Okay. This was helped by the fact that in 2 of the 3, Godzilla didn't have a monster opponent, so the story was just Godzilla shows up, humans deal, etc. The original idea was that the primary human protagonists, Ozaki, Yaguchi, and Haruo, each took a different approach to Godzilla, reacting in different ways. Ozaki starts knowing Godzilla as the be-all, end-all monster to be feared, but ends seeing him as an ally. Yaguchi starts the film with bureaucracy as their primary opponent, but ends it by finding a solution with the help of a committee. And Haruo begins the movie by seeking revenge against Godzilla, and ends up having his wrath reciprocated against him 1,000-fold. It got more interesting when I added to the perspectives of the 3 Godzillas, as well as Maki, to the equation, and noticed that they seem to be causally linked to each other, with Maki being the link between human and Godzilla. In the Samsara cycle, that would make Maki's incarnations the last of the humans, and the 2016 Godzilla the first Godzilla, which paints a picture, again, of the general entropy of the universe with a sequence that kind of looks like the stages of grief, going from fighting against it as humans, to revenge, to acceptance, to nihilism, and then ultimately incarnating as the god of destruction himself. Essentially having, this is ad-libbing now, I'm adding to this in post, but the idea is you start off wanting to avoid destruction, then you experience the evils of mankind, which then perpetuates into that experience, wrapping back around to becoming Godzilla, which is essentially the same thing as Godzilla attacking humanity because he's a victim of the bomb, but this is a trippy thing I thought of while I was high. So, where was I? God destructs himself. The fun thing is that it's also interchangeable. You can twist it the other way around by having Godzilla begin as Shin or Earth or something, through Junior, into the Champion Festival era, and then incarnate as Goro the other way around. As the 60s version was just that of a wacky reporter, starting off as a form of divine retribution, but gradually softening their perspective and then, you know, fighting aliens. That doesn't work as well with the text of the series as a whole, given that things as they are, optimism is no longer legally allowed to appear in a Godzilla movie without a huge asterisk. But, you know, with enough weed you can will yourself into thinking Godzilla movies have happy endings. And some of them do. Okay, so point 7. We're on the last 2 steps here, so we're almost done. Okay. Right, I know what this is. I know what this next part is.
Climax, a triumph. 54 does not.
Yeah, right, because you
by
can
the end of
describe
the movie,
Biollante
the
as a
monster is
triumph.
not
Sure, that
attacking
makes
Tokyo
sense.
anymore. Now he's just sitting in the depths of the ocean, bothering no one. We can't help but ask, if left to his own devices...
Okay, both of the last 2 points follow from this, so I don't have to search through the video anymore after this. Okay. Whew. My work is almost done.
Would he even come back? Do we need to do this? As Godzilla dies, he lets out one of his iconic screams.
Go back again?
Devices is not attack conclude with an action sequence, a big climax, a triumph.
Right, because the end of Godzilla vs. Biollante can be described as a triumph, and that doesn't go against the text. Sure, that makes sense. I'm sorry. Have you fucking seen Biollante? I'm sorry, I know this... This isn't supposed to be critical of his video, but just... you showed footage from Biollante and talked about the ending as a triumph while showing the TC system plan that didn't even work. It didn't work. It failed. It was a failure. Okay. All right. Just watch the movie, Joel. It's mankind's greatest work. You have nothing to lose. Sorry.
Godzilla 1954 does not. By the end of the movie, the monster is not
to be honest, at this point, most Godzilla movies don't have a happy ending, but okay. Just that whole... Every Godzilla movie is a Showa era, Honda-esque optimism jaunt myth. Like, Amori never existed. Okay. Alright. I know that's not technically what he's saying, but it's just a bit of a thorn on my side. And I have a whole video already written about Omori, who died last year, by the way. And that's coming up probably after the Hell video. And not the Hell video you think, not the first circle. 0.5 circle, because I had so much to say in my notes following up the vestibule video that I just turned that into its own video. So we do this, we do the copyright, we do Godzilla Continuity Part 2, and then we do 0.5, and then I'll do the Amore thing. I have so many videos I want to do for someone whose videos aren't watched by anyone. It's whatever, I don't care. It's fun to make these. Anyway, so this, I went back so we could collect our thoughts and hear what Joel has to say so I can respond to it better. Okay, so here's what he has to say.
Attacking Tokyo anymore. Now he's just sitting in the depths of the ocean, bothering no one. We can't help but ask, if left to his own devices, would he even come back? Do we need to do this? Okay,
so there are two answers to this. Well, like obviously, yes and no. It sounds kind of stupid now that I think about it. But like, okay. So for one thing, there is a powerful case to be made that the answer is no. Godzilla really does just leave people alone sometimes. The second Godzilla in the very next film would have been created by the exact same nuclear test, and he isn't discovered destroying things. He's just wrestling around on an island with another monster. A monster who is, by the way, from Siberia, and yet was chilling in the Pacific Islands without anyone noticing them. Actually, the Soviets probably knew of Anguirus the whole time, and it was just a government secret that no other governmental body had knowledge of. Which in that case, how does anyone know that, well, in the movie they never say he's from Siberia. That was only in promotional material, so I guess no one ever does realize that the first Anguirus came from Siberia? Where was I? Okay, right. So he was just chilling around, in the Pacific Islands without anyone noticing them. But when they are discovered, A huge surveillance operation is launched, and they comb the Pacific looking for him, and there's a case to be made that this Godzilla, had they just left him alone, probably wouldn't have bothered anyone. This happens a few other times too, like the third generation Godzilla was created in the late 70s, but didn't appear in Japan until 1985, and Shin had been feeding on nuclear waste for 60 whole last years before, although that movie kind of leaves a lot unexplained about the nature of Maki's appearance and Godzilla's appearance and their connection and the nature of Godzilla's mutation and how Goramaki ended up being a tail. Point is, Godzilla is still an animal. Sometimes he does normal animal things, you know, like fight space aliens. It doesn't always have to be this way. Final point. We're at the home stretch, people. Okay, because ultimately, and this has more to... What was that weird duck the little virtual doll did with her head there? Ultimately, this has more to do with Godzilla as he's existed since the Heisei era, the Omorian Godzilla, than it does the original film, because the original wasn't a sequel. But Godzilla only ever acts because of us. Nothing is unprovoked. One of the core Omorian tenets is the idea of what I've been calling recursive mistakes. And new idea. I know I've already written most of the script for it, but I should probably... You know how when they did Doom the way it did, and then they talked to Romero, and Romero's like, yeah, I have a concise list of rules that if you're going to make Romero-esque levels, you should probably follow my set of rules. And they did. There is a very clear set of Omorian rules to writing an Omorian Godzilla movie. By the way, I'm saying Omorian in the same sense that I've said Honda-esque because I'm trying to get people to say it. If you say Honda-esque, if you said Honda-esque before, start saying Omorian. It's the new hype. You better do it. It's how things work now. It's Omorian. So, and Omorian includes basically every Heisei era movie with the exception... No, with no exceptions. I was trying to think of like the lighter-hearted ones, but no. There are Omorian concepts carry into even the lighter ones like Final Wars and Megaguirus. So, note for the future Omori video, which I'm now probably going to call a definition of Omorian as in, well, it's not going to be that, Omorian as an adjective for a Godzilla story. Something, maybe I'll call it like the rules of writing an Omorian Godzilla movie. I don't know, something like that. But this is definitely one of the rules. I'm way off track. Okay, so one of the rules, or one of the tenets, as I called it in this draft of this comment, is what I've been calling recursive mistakes, which is attempting to fix one disaster, but the attempt creates an even worse situation. This is presented in the films as being because the decisions are always inherently selfish, which is literally spelled out in Tokyo SOS in one of my favorite lines ever. Either way, it's a selfish decision. My favorite line ever isn't from Biollante or even Planet Eater, but actually the lyrics to one of the vocal tracks in Shin Godzilla. If your high praise is all we have, let us not be without you. And a large part of that is because Godzilla was gone for 12 years. And to come back with this extremely visceral teardown of the government in the wake of 3/11, even if it was 5 years overdue, perfectly encapsulates exactly what Godzilla is and means, and what the central thesis of the character and series is, and why he is my whole goddamn life, or could you tell? There is nothing in Godzilla that we aren't directly responsible for. He will never let us forget. As long as nuclear weapons exist and proliferate, as long as people start wars over nothing, and as long as capitalism exploits people and harms the planet to save a buck, as long as we pollute, as long as politicians do nothing, as long as Japan denies its horrible war crimes, and every other horrible thing that there has been a Godzilla movie about, and everything there has yet to be a Godzilla movie about, he will always come back. Like Maki said, do as you like. And that is the comment. Well, okay, it's not all of it. There is a PS. P.S. Kyohei Yamane doesn't get an ending. His character ends in the second film as a broken shadow of a man with little to offer other than, well, we could use lights, I guess. But what's cool is that his grandson, Kenkichi, does go on to study Godzilla quite thoroughly, in particular his metabolism and how his body treats radioactive material. His character is frankly a little shit that I don't much care for, but he was instrumental in the UNGCC's understanding of Godzilla's meltdown. So basically, Yamane studied Godzilla's relationship with radiation and came to the conclusion that Godzilla needed to be killed. Of course, if Kyohei had gotten to that level of data on the original, we would have gotten a different outcome. But that's a different movie about different things. It's just interesting to compare the two that way, especially when Destroya is explicitly intended to be a companion piece to the original movie. P.S. done. That's the comment. That's the whole comment. It only took me 35 minutes to get through with a bunch of searching through the video, some dumb tangents, and none of this was needed because it's not even critical of the original video. I'm just saying things that I thought of while I was watching it. Good stuff. The extremely unlikely chance that Joel ever actually sees this video. That was a cool video. I liked it. But seriously, just watch Godzilla vs. Biollante. And don't say that Godzilla movies end in triumphs. That sounds so ridiculous after, like, even just the last movie, dude. Like, and the thing is, you don't even have to watch that whole movie because they spoil the ending, like the very end of the movie. If you go to Netflix and you mouse over Planet Eater, it just shows you how it ends. So, which pisses me off because that is like the emotional high point of God, the series. I almost want to say, if you don't know, Planet Eater is my second favorite Godzilla movie after Biollante. That movie is incredible because it takes Godzilla as a concept. It takes the thesis statement of Godzilla as it exists, post Omori, to its natural conclusion, which I think is pretty fitting, being that it is the last Heisei era Godzilla movie, and leaves room for whatever Yamazaki is making to kind of do his own thing. And the fact that he's starting his movie in the 40s is really interesting, because that kind of lets him go all the way back to the beginning, wipe the slate clean, and kind of do it over his way, which I'm really interested in seeing. I'm really excited to see what Yamazaki's take is going to be. I think that's really, really cool and stuff. But essentially, what Biollante started, Planet Eater finished, and the two are pretty good companion pieces, I think. Because I think Planet Eater presents a solution to the root problem that Godzilla has been not necessarily dancing around rather. Gotta be careful, don't want people to think I'm American. But like, it hasn't, it's inferred, but it's never really said directly before Planet Eater. Like, man, I could just literally talk about Godzilla forever. Aboot. God damn it, I did it again. When I write it in the script, I can't do Canadian Rising, by the way, so I have to do the stupid Aboot Naroond kind of thing. But, I know that's not really supposed to be the accent, but in my defense, J.J. McCullough, that's how you say his name, right? McCullough? McCulloch? whatever. You know, that Canadian YouTuber guy? The only one? He actually says Aboot. So it is actually a part of some people's accent. So give me a little credit. Is it part of your accent? You don't want people to think you're American. Does that mean that you're not? Shut up. I'm Cascadian. That's all you need to know. I'm obfuscating it. The fact is that you're not supposed to know, because I would be embarrassed. Okay, so, ending, and then right about now is where we would have the song, Papa Doo Doo Doo. Says there someone who can understand the things that they said, or can they ever quite understand the things that they said that time? And then, yeah, I mean, I guess secret segment is going to be about Gamera, which I recorded in advance. I recorded it over Loon Years. I'm probably going to have to edit that because I was really high and kept forgetting what I was talking about. And so I'll probably have to edit out some of the dead air and like hms and ha's. But yeah, man, that's my video response, which isn't a thing that exists on YouTube anymore. And I read the comment, I flipped through the video. Is there anything else I got to do? It's 40 minutes now, so the secret segment's like 20 minutes. By the way, don't skip to secret segment, you guys. Don't do that. It's in bad taste. You gotta pay the fun tax. You gotta watch the boring part of the video first, and then you can watch the secret segment. I know people are skipping. I know everybody wants to just skip the secret segment. Come on, don't skip this. Don't skip it. Come on. Watch the rest of the video. Come on. Come on, you guys. Who was that character? I need to have that character on so that I don't have to be the one to you know, because you know what I think personally? If you want to skip the secret segment, just fucking do it. You know, I don't care. Just skip the fucking secret segment. If you just wanted to hear about some dumb idea I had when I was high that has to do with Gamera, just skip the secret segment. No, don't do it. I'm that character from before. Don't do it. I need to get a graphic. Hold on. Oh, I know who it is. It's this asshole. No. Don't skip the secret segment. It's not allowed. Flabbergast, what are you doing here? I hijacked your video to fucking tell people to pay the fun tax. Oh, come on, man. You don't gotta pay the fun tax. No, you gotta do it. You gotta do it. It doesn't count unless you watch the thing. You don't do the thing. I gotta go. Wait, can I flip it around? I gotta go. See you later. Don't skip the secret segment. Okay, I gotta go. Wow. So cool of our good friend Flabbergast to come in and make a bunch of stupid noises for like 4 minutes. Okay, that's it. That's the end of the video. I'm not doing this anymore. I already did the thing I was supposed to do. I don't know why I'm still recording. Oh right. Oh, I gotta do the sign off. I almost forgot. Until next time. Machine, automobile, make your automobiles and drive them off, out. Drive your cars out. Robots. The end. shit, now that I gotta do it for real, I forgot what I was even doing. Oh, wait. It was, Gamera. As you can tell from the background. So, this is New Year's Eve. What the fuck is going on with the thing? Oh, that's fantastic. There's nothing but candlelight in this room, so it probably can't even read what I'm doing. It's just fucking wigging out. That's crazy. Oh, now it's dead. Its two states are dead or completely wigging out. So this is going great. What is that? It's like doing the Michael Jackson lean or some shit. No. It's the opposite Michael Jackson lean. It's the knock Sag Lek Kim, right? Knock Kaj. No, Nos Kaj Lakim. It's the Nos Kaj Lakim. The Nos Kaj Lakim lean. The Nos Kaj Lakim lean. It's supposed to be about Gamera. Okay, so it's New Year's Eve. I watched a bunch of kung fu movies. Well, I was in the middle of two. The Flying Guillotine guy, right? Because I love Master of the Flying Guillotine, and I found out how to prequel. This is not important. What's important is that the guy in the movie, he has, you know, the Flying Guillotine, and they're like the super kick-ass weapon. But it's also like cool in a way that doesn't really make any sense, right? Like how do you think of that? It's not like, you know, we'll stab him or whatever. It kind of has the same vibe as like how Gamera makes up their enemies, you know? Like it's not like a fire monster or a space monster or a sea monster. It's well, this is the knife monster. This is the vampire monster. And then there's the xenomorph monster. And it's like, all right. So, well, isn't that neat? Right? Like, isn't that... What the fuck am I talking about? Okay. Alright. Okay. Let's get back on track. Let's do this. Let's knock this out of the park. Alright. What information do we need? Let's figure that out first. We gotta get that out of the way. Once we know what we need to know that we need, once we need to know what we need, then we'll know what we need to know. Which is... How do I connect that? Oh, because it's the same thought process. Got it in one. Okay. Boy, that... this thing could really just not see me. Oh, okay, there it goes. That's like the same kind of thought process they go to come up with a Gamera villain as a Kung Fu villain. So, what if there was some sort of causal link between them? So that a Kung Fu villain would be based on... Oh, there I go. I disappeared. So what if, like, there was a Gamera monster based on a Kung Fu villain? So, like, what if there was a Flying Guillotine Gamera monster? That's what I wanted to know. Okay, we got through it. We got through the hard part. Okay, are you ready? Because now comes the fun stuff. After I fix this. Whoop, there I go again. And, oh, no, I'm dying again. No, or I'm not, or I am. Who knows? We'll never figure it out. So the thing is about a Flying Guillotine, right? cuts your fucking head off. So, like, Gamera can't get hit by this. Like, you can hit Gamera in the shell with Gilon, but, like, you can't, well, that was another whole tangent we had to go on, is whether or not it's Gilon or Gion. Because it's definitely not Giron. That's a mistranslation. It's either Gilon or Gion, as in guillotine or guillotine. I'm not trying to sound stupid by saying guillotine either. Like, I know that's not how you would really say it, but, like, you know what I mean. Like, people have said that. Like, I'm not crazy. Well, I'm not crazy about that in particular. But I sure am a real wacko in other ways. Who is that character? Who is crazy low voiced hit guy? Who is that? I want to meet that guy. Do. Man, what the fuck was I talking about? The fucking Gamera monster, right? Okay, so this the thing I was saying, to get back on track, he can't hit Gamera even once because then his head would be gone and then he would just be dead. So at that point, the structure of it is basically the same. The dynamics are the same as in a Kung Fu movie, because Gamera movies, he does get hit. He gets hit by it exactly one time. And then the kids find out the solution, and then they revive Gamera, and then he goes back, and now it doesn't matter if, like, the humans find out how to neutralize the monster's power to let Gamera beat the secret technique, or Gamera just innately knows it's coming this time, and so he has his own defenses planned for it. You could go either way, but that happens, and that's how he beats the monster. And so you can have two options here. You give the flying guillotine or guillotine and by the way, the reason I even brought Gilon up is because we would call this like something like, I don't, space Gilon's already from space, or I don't know, Earth Gilon. It would be like a subspecies of Gilon. I was saying before, it would be like, you know how Iris is to the Gaios? It would be like that to Gilon. So it's like a super Gilon. Maybe they'll just call it Super Gilon. You know, it's a Gamera movie. Who the fuck cares? But like, okay, so what was I talking about before I went on that tangent about Gilon? Super Gilon. That's the monster's name. Oh, yeah. The structure of the movie. Okay, so you can have it be like he has a different attack, and that's the thing that puts Gamera out of commission, and then the kids have to revive him. Or maybe Gamera gets his fucking head chopped off in the middle of the movie. Maybe that fucking happens. Right? And you're thinking, well, no. At that point, Gamera's dead. You don't come back from being dead. But baby, it's a monster movie. You can do anything you fucking want in a monster movie. It's not real. It doesn't matter. So fuck it. Have Gamera's head fly back on. Or he grows a new one. You don't know that Gamera can't grow a new head. Nobody's ever cut his head off before. You know? He could have done that the whole time. You don't know. Or it could be a zombie Gamera. Or it could be like my real idea. Gamera's soul comes back from hell. Or it's possessed by... Gamera's body is possessed by a demon. And the head flies back on, and now it's like Demon Gamera. Or in like the... If you were to name it like it was a 70s Ultraman show, you would call it Turtle Satan. Satan Turtle. Okay, so Satan Turtle versus Flying Gilon. This is a great movie. But yeah, so like, and I don't know at this point if you make it a trilogy or if you make it a 2-hour movie. But basically what happens, Gamera's soul is in hell. He's fucking dead. He got his head chopped off. And then he like has to go through hell, just like Godzilla in hell, to reincarnate again. But in this case, of course, he gets his head pulled back onto his body and he gets repossessed as like you know, a Satan turtle, or turtle Satan, whichever one it is. And so, like, in order to go there, he has to go through, like, the circles of hell and fight demons and shit to get to his way out. So it's basically, it's Lord of the Rings of Gamera. It's Lord of the Turtle, is what I'm telling you. It's Lord of the Turtle, but it's through hell. And it's Master of the Flying Guillotine, but with giant monsters. And maybe if it is Turtle Satan or Satan Turtle, either one of them. They're brothers, by the way. They're identical twin brothers. That's why I can't tell them apart. So Gamera gets up there, and this time the way he beats the secret technique of Super Gion. Is it Super Gion? Is it Super Gion or is it Super Gion? And is it Flying Gion or Flying Gilon? Like, it could be Super Gilon and Flying Gion, right? Like, they don't gotta be the same. It's like I'm finding any excuse to go on a tangent. Okay. What in the world was I actually talking about? Oh yeah, I remember. So, in the second fight, Gamera would go back, and the way that he beats the secret technique of Super Gilon, I'm not going to bother with the name, is they just can't fucking cut his head off anymore, because he always grows a new back one. That's not how English works. He always grows back a new one. There we go. He grows back a new one every time because now he's a Satan Turtle. So, like, you can't beat him because he's like this unstoppable devil monster. And then, of course, the next movie would just be Gamera, the unstoppable devil monster. So, that's my idea for a Gamera movie. Or, what if Gamera gets his head cut off, and then his student Gamera that he'd been training gets revenge? That's how it works. But then what technique does he use to beat Super Gilon? Oh, right, he becomes a demon baby turtle, I just said. Baby demon turtles versus a thing. Oh, that's the other thing I was going to say. The reason that Gilon would even have anything comparable to Iris, you know, like how the Gaios do, is because of the stupid theory I have about how, you know how Gamera has the whole Four Guardians thing? Okay, well, what if all the space monsters did too? So the four would be Gamera, Barugon, Jiger, and Gaios. Well, and Iris, I guess. Well, it's confusing because it's ambiguous whether Iris is the predecessor or a mutation of. I think they have evidence for it both ways in the film. It's been a while since I've seen it. I don't know if that's true. I definitely do remember them saying it had the DNA of Gaios, but like mutated, which seems like it's pretty clear, but whatever. Point is, you cut those two out. You got those four, but then you also got Zigra, Veros, Gilon, and is that it? Well, Legion, but that doesn't count. That doesn't count because it breaks my theory. Oh, the Pyrants, which aren't from a Gamera movie, but they're also aliens that are sea life shaped. 3 out of those 4 are just shaped like sea life. And I think there was like an outfit connection to some of the different space people and something else. But anyways, the theory is that maybe these aliens are like a offshoot, like they learned how to travel in like ancient aliens, but the opposite way around, where like super advanced ancient Atlanteans go to outer space or something and found colonies, and then they develop their own monsters in the same way with the same genetic engineering technology. But because the stars look different, they're different creatures. So it's like a shark, a squid, a starfish, you know, and a knife. The four sea creatures of the night sky or something. And then they developed sentience, I guess, because the Pyrans and the Verosians just look like that all the time. And there's just like a bunch of little squids and starfishes, and then and they have like spaceships. Actually, I don't know that any of this fits together or makes any kind of sense. This all sounds like complete nonsense. Okay. Well, I tried. And that is what I think about Gamera and my life. How long was this? Hey, under 20 minutes. Not bad. I feel like usually when I'm high I can ramble on for longer about stuff. And there's a lot of hmms and like silence I can cut out of this. So it's probably going to be even less than 17 minutes. Leave a like if you appreciate how fucking jumbled up this thing is. It's ridiculous. Fucking thing doesn't work in candlelight. Who'da thunk it? I don't know how to end secret segments. The future is always counting. No, that's not right. Time is always happening. And you can count on it. No, what did counting have to do with anything? I think it is time is always counting. Time is always counting. Yeah, that was it. What does that mean? No, it wasn't time is counting. It was time is always happening. It was definitely time is always happening. So until next time. No. That's not the secret segment. That's the sign off for regular segment. Secret segment doesn't have a sign off. Oh shit, how do I end secret segment? Oh man, that's why this is going on so long. I don't know how to end secret segment. Oh fuck. Oh wait, I just pressed the button.